fasten your seatbelt. It's going to be a bumpy ride.
Chrissie is hilarious.
Chrissie, have you ever heard of the comedian Basha K. Ali?
No, that sounds like something you yell at before you blow up a plane.
Basha K. Ali!
30 seconds remaining.
But you know what, good thing to say, I dabbled in stand-up or something. I have no disrespect for you at all.
I was very confused by the title, Everything Everywhere All at Once, because that's also what we call it when Ash takes off his shirt. I shouldn't be up here. I should be in school on the other side of the ocean. Welcome to another episode of the Chrissie Mayr podcast. You can listen to us on iTunes, Spotify, SoundCloud, Rumble, Rockfin, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, if they haven't completely shadow banned me at this point. Yes, guys, this is a very exciting episode today. I am so excited for our guest. Before I bring her in, I got a couple of stand-up dates to plug. I will be in Jersey. Oh boy, what's happening with my website? I got to update the website, guys. It's looking very 2000 and late. I'll be in Morris Plains, New Jersey, Saturday, July 8th at Tiff's Ale House. Nice early show, 7 o'clock. Keanu Thompson will be opening for me. That should be a ton of fun. Then I'll be at Anime Matsuri in August 10th through the 13th at the George Brown Convention Center. Simpcast will be at the convention with a panel, a booth. We'll be running around. I got to figure out who's going to come with me to this. It'll be great, though. Come hang out. Plus, I'm headlining that same weekend in Houston, Friday, August 11th at the Secret Group. Get your tickets now if you know you're going to be in Houston for Anime Matsuri. Should be a really fun convention. I hear a lot of YouTubers go to this convention. I'm going. I don't know how many Malaysians will be there, but I will be prepared no matter what. Speaking of Malaysians, my God, I feel so lucky to have this girl on the podcast today. I feel like I am getting an exclusive. I don't know if she's done very many, if any, interviews since her infamous viral moment, pissing off all of Malaysia, all of Singapore. I don't know of any other comic that's managed to piss off like 2 whole countries at once. She's been getting tons of shit for about a week straight at this point, and I'm so excited. She is here to give us a little more context and a little more explanation, and just have some fun, I guess. Comedian Jocelyn Chia. Hello.
Hi, everybody. Hey, Chrissie.
Welcome.
And you are my first podcast only because we're friends. Obviously, everyone's been trying to get an interview with me, but you got first dibs. You've been like a staunch defender of me online, and I'm so grateful for you. So thank you. You're my first podcast I've been on since this kerfuffle.
That really means a lot, Jocelyn. And we were talking right before we went live that the last time we did an episode together was like, I didn't realize it was during the pandemic.
Yeah.
And
very different times.
That seems like an
Before
eternity.
I became an international fugitive.
You're an international fugitive, Jocelyn. Holy crap. Now,
I don't know if your listeners know this, but the Malaysian police has gotten Interpol to come find me and hunt me down.
What the actual fuck? Let's give people some context. If for some reason you're just now seeing and hearing about Jocelyn for the first time, for our new people in the chat, I doubt there are any. I doubt at this point, if you're watching this, you have no clue. But correct me if I'm wrong, Jocelyn, you were doing a set at the Comedy Cellar, which you frequent. And this particular set was from a month or 2 ago. It's not like this was a set from last week.
No, but I've been doing this bit for a year and a half.
Yeah.
I think the Cellar staff is literally sick of this joke because I did all the time because it's my best joke.
Wow. It's a great joke. It's a great fucking joke.
You.
And I will continue to defend it. And so it's a joke you've been doing for like a couple of months, but it was clipped somehow on Instagram or TikTok and blew up, I think last Thursday is when I first saw it, because Frank was like, oh my God, did you see about Jocelyn? Like, she's getting tons of shit for this joke. I watched the joke. It's hilarious.
Thank you.
maybe for like total redundancy, I will play it again because I want to
Oh
give
gosh,
people
I'm so sick of
I want to
looking.
give people like total context for this, and I don't want to. I'm trying to be thorough here. Wow, I have to scroll so much. Um, tell us what led up to this joke because it's a seller. So what you're doing like a 15-minute set or something,
Yeah, I
and
was
this
thinking
is a
15
joke.
minute set.
Yeah.
This used to be my closer. It was my closer for a good 9 months, maybe even a year. I can't remember. And as you know, our closer is our best joke, right? So that's how good this joke had been doing. Another seller comic came out to tell me when he first heard the joke that, wow, this is a weapons grade joke. Literally now, right? Because I'm
Ooh.
creating a war with another
Ah,
country. So it really is a weapons grade joke. And but this time around, for the last several months, it had been more in the middle of my set because I've gotten a couple of new closers. And then for the last few weeks, even I actually kind of stopped doing the joke, maybe even a month or so, because I just had more new material now that I'm working on my new special. So I actually kind of stopped doing the last couple of months. And also there's a little bit of me that's maybe he's getting a little bit older. Like how long more are people still going to remember Malaysian Airlines? So I think I was getting a sense that me was getting a little bit on the staler side, so I was stopping to do it for like the last month or so, more or less.
Okay, yeah, good for you because as comics, we're constantly shuffling around our jokes. You want to open strong, close strong, and like everything in between. And especially like I mean, I've never performed at the Cellar, but it's one of the best clubs, definitely the best club in New York. So
Mm-hmm.
every time you get on stage there, like you have to do it the best you absolutely can.
Oh yeah,
This was
100%.
a tried and true joke for you. It's not like you
Right
were
and
just
true. Yeah. Oh gosh,
playing it as your ass.
I want to
How many
listen.
times have you
You know
watched?
you, I know you.
Country, Singapore, actually being
I've
independent
I've
from the
watched this 100
British. We
times.
were a
I love it.
struggling little nation. In order to survive,
And
we
you
formed a
looked great and
union with
very
a
thin, which
larger,
I think is
more
the most
powerful country,
important
I
part.
think that's the
Malaysia.
most important
Where
part.
are you from? Malaysia or Singapore? Malaysia. Okay, yeah. You assholes. When my prime minister went on TV to announce that you guys had dumped us, he cried because he thought we're not going to survive without you. But then 4 years later, we became a first world country.
How many times have you done this joke where there's actually been a Malaysian in the crowd or a Singaporean?
Singapore more often than Malaysians because
Okay.
our airplanes can fly.
But this what worked out really perfectly. I'm sure it's kind of rare to have an actual Malaysian in the crowd so that you can have like the perfect response of like fuck you. To me, this is like
100%.
everything just lined up perfectly for
Everything
this.
just lined up, right? I mean, the Malaysian in the crowd, which is one, rare, and two, for them to actually like shout out, woo! And to be like, I'm from Malaysia, super rare. I think this was probably maybe only 2 times I could actually roast a Malaysian in the audience. I was like so excited. I'm an actual Malaysian. I can roast. This is so cool. And then at the very end, when actually one of the seller staff yelled out, jokingly, of course, we're definitely getting a better Yelp review now. And then for me to then like riff on that, saying, "Oh, you have to play the clip. They haven't seen it yet."
I'm so shocked that this was a joke that's a month or so old because this whole thing to me seemed like a riff because you can't plan out these crowd interactions.
And you guys,
actually the whole bit is
Malaysia,
a
what
year
are
and
you
a half
now?
old.
Still a developing country. Oh, boo. You, Malaysia. Isn't that the best breakup revenge? Now,
I don't understand people getting triggered at this because this joke, it's a play on breakups. It's a play on you're making fun of airplanes. You're making fun of like basically technology or aeronautical, whatever, engineering, a failure of that. You're not going, oh, you're not reading off a list of people who died. It's
right.
personal. Yet people took this so personally, which really pisses me off. I think people like
And
purposely want to be offended and take things personally.
And I heard that they said I said fuck you Malaysia. There's so much hate in my heart. It's as though I was like pouring out all this like deep seated hatred.
No.
Wow, they really don't know comedy, man. Like we act out, it's a persona, it's an act. Yeah, to me as a comedian, I'm like, wow, you guys really took me seriously.
Show.
Yeah.
It's a show.
Right. I'm being an actress at this point.
like, hey, Singapore, you're looking good, la.
And then I learned that la is like basically slang for a woman.
No, la is just something we add at the end of anything. It can be anything. It can be but there are certain rules. So it'll sound weird if you're doing it wrong, but I can't even articulate the rules. So like, for example, if I want to say don't be like that, I'll say, hey, don't like that lah. So it's like to emphasize, like, hey.
Okay. It's like an
Yeah, more of an
exclamation
emphasis.
point. Okay. I'm learning.
And we're like, I know, but why haven't you visited me in 40 years? And you're like, oh, yeah, I tried, but my airplanes cannot fly. What? Malaysian Airlines going missing, not funny, huh? Some jokes don't land. This joke killed in Singapore. I get a bad Yelp review.
That was somebody on the seller staff that said you're getting a bad Yelp review. I thought that was somebody
Yeah.
in the audience. Oh, that's funny.
It wasn't
the
an audience
Malaysian
member. No.
It's okay. They don't have internet.
All these things are so funny.
Great comeback, right? That was
It's so
good.
great. It's so great.
That one was the riff. The internet was a riff.
That's so great. I was like, oh yeah, of course. I immediately was like, not to pat myself on the back, but I was like, it's not your job as a comedian to, imagine if people came in, okay, what are your triggers? Okay, what's your political belief? Okay, have you had a death in the family ever? Okay, let's write down the cause of that death. And okay, now we give these 20 topics to all the comedians and everyone doesn't touch any of these topics. That's fucking insane.
Yeah, my friend was like, all right, we need puppy jokes for you now, Jocelyn Chia.
And
I'm get a puppy just get some material now.
So what was the first sign or notification that you got where you were like, oh shit, something's popping off with this?
Yeah, so the first sign was when I had posted it on my TikTok. So when I posted on my Instagram, it was all fine and good. I mean, it's all my followers, right? So they were supported. They get my humor. They get that I'm a little naughty, a little edgy. Also doing great on the seller Instagram. Doing great on the seller TikTok too. And in fact, it actually blew up more on the seller's TikTok than the seller's Instagram. The seller's Instagram got, I don't know. I can't remember. But just for an example's sake, maybe 20,000 views. And their TikTok was at like 80,000 views, like 4 or 5 times more. So it's doing very well on TikTok.
Wow.
I was told that was very unusual. They have a lot more followers on Instagram than TikTok. So usually their Instagram videos do better, but it was doing very well on TikTok. So I was like, oh, this is great. I want to put it on my TikTok too. And previously, when we did do collaboration posts like this, I just let them put it on TikTok because there's no collab function in TikTok.
Okay. Like there is on Instagram.
This is doing so well. I want it on my TikTok page too. Whoa, big mistake. Oh, well, maybe it's a good thing. We'll see how this all turns out. But yeah, that was the mistake. Putting it on my TikTok.
It was your TikTok where somebody found it. Was it then? Because I'm never on TikTok. Did someone repost your TikTok or like?
People must have. I mean, I didn't pay too much attention. I mean, I was starting to get a lot of shitty comments like, oh, just criticizing me, criticizing my looks, criticizing my comedy, criticizing everything basically. I was like, it was doing well on my Instagram, well on the seller's Instagram, very well on the seller's TikTok. What is happening? So that's when I noticed like things were getting a little wonky.
This was last Thursday. Yeah, I think this was.
Actually, this was I posted it on Tuesday.
Oh wow,
last Tuesday. Yeah, last Tuesday.
Okay, so this was last Tuesday, June 6th, and then because I heard about it last Thursday.
Sure,
it was already a fiery mess.
I know. Tuesday was like a bubbling mess, like a little bit of like puke on the ground. And Thursday was a whole shitstorm.
How I've noticed is when things go viral, it's when you post something, the first couple of days, things don't go really well, and it's all your fans, and it's the people who like you, and it's very, very positive. Totally. And then maybe around the 3rd or 4th day, somebody who is of opposite of opinions of you or triggered or whatever, someone who's like not your typical fan, they catch on to it, and then you get several days of negativity, and then depending on who in those days like has a huge following or boosts it up, then it'll get another tick up of like viralness. So it happens in stages, because at first it'll be like, oh, this is really, it's exactly what you're saying. Wow, things are really positive. Right. And then you'll see it start to turn. You'll be like, who shared this? Wait, what happened here?
It was the calm before the storm. My first like day or so was like a calm before the storm. Like, oh, it's going great. And then bam, shit hit the fan. But so then after that, so I went to bed and then woke up the next day. I'm getting these messages, from the seller asking me to take it down.
Take it off your TikTok or everywhere.
Everywhere.
Damn.
But in their defense for freedom of speech, I mean, the seller doesn't like censoring comedians, right? They just wanted it taken down because their logo was on it. and then they gave me one without without their logo, without the bad review part, so that I could post it for myself. They're like, it's your material, do whatever you want. So that was
probably
cool
already shit. So then they were like, here, you can repost it just without the seller logo.
Yes, which is totally fair. I totally understand that. Yeah.
Yeah. So do you then repost it without the logo?
I did, and by this time, oh dear me, let me just ignore it. By this time, I had really been getting emails with threats, and they found my phone number, so I was getting all these messages and calls from Malaysian numbers. Yeah, so by this time this was happening. So, and I say this to give you the context of when I decided to repost this video, right? So I was seeing that shit was hitting the fan, and that Malaysians were not happy about it, and I was getting very heavily attacked for it. But I decided that I wanted to repost it because I didn't want them to think that they had intimidated me into backing down. I was like, this is a great joke. I stand by it. And I think I have a very strong rebel in me. I don't think any of my secondary school teachers, secondary is like a high school stage in Singapore, I don't think any of my secondary school teachers are at all surprised that, one, I'm creating this mess, and two, that I'm being kind of defiant about it, because I just have that streak in me that if you want to like force me to do something, the more I'm not going to want to do it, right? So I do actually have a friend who reached out to me saying that, hey, Jocelyn, I lost family members in this plane, and my family members are not happy about it. And I apologize to her. I'm really sorry that this has caused you such additional pain and your family members. And thank you for talking to me nicely.
That makes sense to apologize to an individual. But when people want you to apologize for making a joke, that is where I can't accept that. Yeah.
And she was nice about it too. Yeah. She didn't attack me. She just said, call me the facts. So when you come at me nicely, of course I can then see things from your point of view. But if someone's like coming at you with a knife, you're not gonna like, I'm so sorry. Like,
no, God, no. A lot of people have been, your joke is like not even a personal joke. It's like a general joke about an event. But then people come at you with like very personal death threats, very personal insults. I've been saying it. They're responding to something impersonal with a very personal response. So
yeah, and I think
it doesn't really match.
The worst part about the response is when I was saying these things that these people are saying is so deplorable, I was doing my job, right? And then now for them to come at my friends, my family, even your stepson with death threats and like it really grotesque harassment, what's their excuse? I was doing my job when I did this, when I said this, right? I was being a professional comedian on the best stage in the world. I don't know what their excuse is for stooping to this level of brutality.
Yeah, the responses have been really disgusting. What I'm seeing a lot of, I don't know if it's a language barrier or like an intelligence thing, but the people who have been hating on me, like, oh, how would you like if I made a joke about 9/11? But then they don't make a joke about 9/11. Like my comments will just say 9/11, 9/11, or and I'm just like, oh, okay, I'd love to hear a joke. If you're trying to do this thing where you think you're responding with a tragic event of America with a joke, well, let's hear the joke. But I don't think people have been able to come up with that. And
what I heard from my comedian friends, they're like, oh, any American comedian like defending you or somehow associated you is getting trolled by Malaysians saying, how would you feel if we did a 9/11 joke? And the Americans' responses were, we do 9/11 jokes all the time.
People have been doing 9/11 jokes since the week of 9/11. It was like, can we joke about this? And humor, it's a pressure release valve. It's how people cope. And I can't stand when people are offended by jokes because, like, okay, for some of us that's therapeutic. For some of us it's how we heal, it's how we grieve, it's how we find joy in our lives. And when you're offended, you're saying that your opinion is more important than the people who enjoyed the joke or who were even neutral about the joke. But that's why I feel like it's actually a very selfish move to be like, oh no, you should this is how I feel. I'm offended, so you need to apologize. You need to. Well, it's like, well, what about the opinions of everybody who liked it?
I think it's a very good point, Chrissy. Yeah, I mean, I guess the challenge of being a comedian is that we're not, say, like a different type of profession that has specialties, right? So we have jokes that appeal to different type of people, but it's not like we are doctors. Or, okay, I'm a cardiologist, right? I am a endocrinologist. Like, which doctor to go to for your needs. people don't know which comedian to go to for their taste until they get a taste of the comedian. But then instead of just being, all right, this one's not for me, let me find a different comedian. Like, let me find a
It's so
different doctor.
true. And as a
Yeah.
comedian, you have to kind of put out like a buffet of jokes because you don't know what people are going to like. You find out as you're doing it. You see what
Yeah.
people are laughing at. Okay, like a lot of times comedians will listen to the host or the comedians before them to see, okay, where are they leaning? Are they one way or the other politically? Are they not liking cursing? Are there kids in the audience? Like you're trying to figure out like maybe people make slight adjustments and some people never make adjustments and they do what they do and that's fine. And so you're constantly adjusting on the fly and that's what you're supposed to do. You're trying to figure out where what people are laughing at. Sure, you have some comics that are very, very specialized, or they only do Jewish rooms, or they only do kids parties, or maybe they only work very blue. But I think most of us are trying to just do cast a wide net to see what people
100%.
and that joke got a great reaction in the room. Great tags. It was really funny. And I think the problem with social media now is used to be like the 80s and the 90s. People who loved comedy would go to comedy clubs. They would seek it out. They would get it. They would understand. Yeah, you're not going to like every joke, but maybe they didn't like some jokes and then they leave and they go on with the rest of their lives.
Right.
But now with social
Yeah.
media, it's great because you can get yourself out to a broader audience. People can discover you from out of state, out of the country that may have never, gone to see where you perform, which is great. But you're also getting into the pockets of people who don't like comedy, don't have a sense of humor, don't appreciate comedy, would never seek out a show, would never seek out watching somebody's special. They're just like, a lot of people don't like comedy. A lot of people are like, not fun. A lot of people like are not. I'm sorry, but like you have to be smart enough to a certain degree to understand jokes and have a sense of humor. And it's not for everybody. But now, obviously, with social media, you're in the pockets of people who don't appreciate or like
Right.
comedy, and then that's when you get people getting offended that like it's like you kind of had no business, like this wasn't for you to begin with. Like you don't
I
these
know. We
people
need
that
to
want to
censor
cancel
these people.
comedians, they don't buy albums, they don't go to comedy shows, they don't buy specials, they don't go to live tapings, they don't buy merch from comedians. They're just haters. And it's like, well, we're not going into A, telling you how to do your job, B, and we're not going and trying to ruin the things that you like. Just move on if you don't like it. And people have a hard time doing that because cancel culture gives people a rush when they know they have the power to make somebody apologize or make somebody never work again or make somebody delete a social media platform. They go, wow, like that makes me feel really good. And I guess it's kind of a drug for people.
Right, and I think that's a good point. These people who are trying to cancel comedians or anybody in the entertainment space are not the ones that are consuming comedy, and so that means they are canceling us on behalf of our fans, right? So, to your earlier point, how come they get to dictate what someone else can or cannot consume, especially when someone else are fans of our kind of comedy? So, for all the people who do find this funny, the Malaysians would have it be like they don't get to appreciate my humor and my jokes.
Yeah. Can you describe for us like what is the dynamic between like Malaysia and Singapore? And so you were born and raised in Singapore, and then when did you move to the US?
I was born in Boston.
Oh shit, never mind.
Yeah, my dad was studying it.
How racist of me.
Flex. You what?
How racist of me.
It's funny.
Maybe I think it's because you said something about going to school, and I thought you said you went to school.
I did go, yeah. So
okay.
I was only in Boston for a few months, and then they shipped me to Singapore as a little baby, 6 months old maybe, and that's where I grew up. And so wait, what else were you going to ask?
I want to know, when you were born here, then you went to Singapore for school, and then when did you come back to the US?
I came back for college.
Okay, cool. And then at any point, did you have dual citizenship? And then you
from birth until 21.
Okay, so so some people, I at first thought that they took away your Singapore citizenship because of this, and then I found out no. I think at one point, do they just make you pick one country or the other?
Yeah, Singapore doesn't allow dual, so they make you pick.
Okay, so this is wild. So Malaysia was a developing country, and then Singapore. They like I don't understand the dynamic, like the cultural relationship between the two countries.
Right. So, and caveat, I have heard that people say that some inaccuracies in my understanding, but this is my understanding based on studying history in Singapore, which is that when Singapore was a British colony, and then after World War II, the British withdrew, and now we're going to be an independent country. But we had no natural resources. We were this tiny little country. Really, we didn't think we could survive, right? So we formed a union with Malaysia, and having being under the aegis of like a larger, more powerful country was, I think, the plan at the time. And then within a year or two, things were going awry, and Malaysia decided they couldn't be a union with us anymore. So I probably brushed on my history just for this part. But
Whatever.
Yeah,
I don't. Yeah, it's okay if it's not like perfect. Just as like
okay, it's not gonna be perfect.
It's like wherever you were coming from.
I am a lawyer. I want to be super accurate, and I have heard that I wasn't super accurate. So that's just my like disclaimer. You do your own research. But what I learned was that then Malaysia kicked us out of the union because they didn't get benefit or something they were having problems with being in the union with us. And the part that I most clearly remember is seeing my prime minister at the time going on TV and then tearing out when he announced the separation. And then what I was taught in history class was because he just didn't think we would be able to survive. Like he literally thought we couldn't survive without this union with Malaysia. And so the miracle of it was that we went from being this like little struggling nation, no natural resources whatsoever, got dumped by Malaysia as a union partner, and then like miraculously made it to become a first world like developed country within one generation. That's like the Singapore miracle, right?
We became like you're describing a breakup and then a glow up story, and that it's like a glow up
story. Thank you.
Of course, you would make that. You're explaining the history, and like, yeah, even if you were like explaining this from like a history standpoint, I'd be like, yeah, that sounds like a breakup. And then the girl just like lost a bunch of weight and got hot and got a way hotter boyfriend, and it was like, yeah, fuck you. And that's exactly the spirit of where that joke came from. And
you landed it perfectly. I was like, that's exactly the spirit. Like the way I'm emoting it in the bit is like, I'm hot now. Fuck you. You know what I mean? Okay, I get that in this bit because there were Malaysians, the audience. And so now the roast aspect came in. I sound a lot angrier. But I usually kind of play for, yeah, fuck you. You know what I mean?
It's funny.
I get why they did kind of misunderstood.
It's a show. You're up there like you're you, but it's like the character of you. It's like not, you wouldn't, if you talked about Malaysian after the show, you wouldn't be saying fuck you to his face. It's
right. And Malaysians have come up to me after seeing this set and be like, oh, I loved your set. You know, they don't say set, they say skit or like whatever, whatever non-comedic term. I loved your skit and I'm from Malaysia. Like, so just to show that they had a good sense of humor about it.
Has anyone ever been very triggered or angry at you for any of these jokes from a live show?
From a live show? No, I don't think I've ever been. I mean, I'm not really like a super offensive comic, Chrissy. Like,
no, you're really not. This is why this is shocking.
I'm a little bit edgy, but I'm not crazy edgy. By New York City standards, I'm pretty tame.
Yeah, like you're good. And so people have not really been offended by you in person, but like online, it's so easy to be offended because they're not meeting you and talking to you. They're not getting your energy. And plus people love to be offended and people get a power trip from trying to cancel somebody else. And now, okay. So then the prime minister of both Malaysia and Singapore had to apologize to the countries for your jokes?
I wish it was the prime minister. No, I'm not that important. It was the foreign minister, which is our equivalent of Anthony Blinken, our Secretary of State.
Okay, I don't know the difference. Blinken, somebody like with a tie had to. Somebody wearing a necktie had to.
Right, someone wearing a necktie. Yeah. So it's like our Secretary of State, Anthony Blinken, had apologized to Justin Trudeau on behalf of Dave Chappelle's joke offending Canada. It was like this equivalent. Mind blowing, right? When you think about it in like American terms.
Like how I'm like, wow, to me, it's like, wow, it's really not that important. But the fact that it got moved so far up the chain that like a representative of the country feels like, why do you feel like they had to apologize?
I think because there was a lot of misunderstanding at the time as to my citizenship. They thought this was a Singaporean saying fucking Malaysia to Malaysians.
So what if you were? Like, would that make a huge difference if you
I
were
think
still?
if I were, I'd be in like so much fucking shit. Like real, we're talking real shit here because in Malaysia, for example, they have arrested a comedian for jokes. In India, I read that they
Wow.
had jailed comedians for jokes. So I mean, thank God I'm American, right? Like this is not like a real threat to my freedom and liberty, right? I mean, it's constitutionally protected that I get to be able to tell my jokes on stage. So it's not like a
Mhm.
super serious threat here that I created this kerfuffle. But had I really been Singaporean and only Singaporean, then this could have been like actually really ugly for me, even uglier than it is right now, I think.
What do you think could have happened to you if you still had your Singaporean citizenship?
If I was just Singaporean, I don't know, maybe inciting international unrest. I don't know. I don't know, like all the Singaporean laws they could have like pinned me for.
I think they had a protest for you. I've seen so much. This is the latest article, and I don't even think I know what Interpol is. I was like, "What is Interpol?" But now they're involved. I'm like, okay. It
One of
just
your
sounds
followers, by the way, was very. Oh, you go.
okay. Here we go. I think this is the BBC article. Have any news outlets asked you for like a reaction or a comment? Has anybody, any kind of like prominent news
I'm sure. I
sources?
mean, the BBC did an interview with me. New
Oh,
York Times,
okay.
CNN, Fox News reached out. I'll be on Fox News this Saturday, everybody.
Nice.
Nice.
Okay. Do you feel like you give each news outlet about the same comment, or do you know, do you
Well,
feel
I
like
think because I've only spoken to 3 news outlets and has been on different days, right? So as this blows out, as this unfolds, my own emotional and mental state also changes, right? Because it's
right?
also new to me, and my thoughts and opinions evolve as the situation unfolds. So for this interview, for example, it's about the Interpol being called and involved into the whole situation. So no, I would say every interview is somewhat different. I mean, the New York Times interview was about the impact on comedy. The clubs were interviewed. So I think everyone had a slightly different angle. So I do say somewhat different things.
So in this one, the BBC article, this is crazy. Malaysian police said they would like to ask Interpol to locate Ms. Chia as they investigate her for incitement and offensive online content. Like, this sounds scary. I don't know what an Interpol is. It's basically what? International police, I'm
And
guessing.
national police.
What can they even do? You're an American citizen.
Well, I mean, they're saying that I broke their Malaysian law, right? I don't know whether it explains in the article, but they are trying to get me under Malaysian law. So even though obviously I didn't commit a crime in America, what they are arguing is that I committed a crime in Malaysia by doing this. Is basically
What
they're
did you
saying.
incite other than laughter? Like, you're not forcing anybody to be offended. Like,
Oh
they're
no, I
people.
incited offense according to them. And again, in Malaysia, a comedian has been arrested and is going to be standing trial very soon
Wow.
for jokes that were deemed offensive.
It just seems like such a subjective thing.
Very, yeah, I hear
What is
you.
offensive, and you get to go, you're arrested based on someone else's idea of what is offensive.
Yeah, I know it's a very
Like a
arbitrary standard,
crapshoot, you know?
and that's why thank God we are Americans, Chrissy. Oh my
Thank God.
God,
God
oh,
bless
Jesus
America.
Christ! I'm like, whoa.
She said,
I could be arrested right now if I had remained in. I mean, I don't know if Singapore will actually do this, right? I mean, we are a developed country. Wink, wink.
she said her joke had been taken out of context when consumed on social media. I have performed this joke hundreds of times, did it, and even did a shorter version of it in Singapore. And you did this in Singapore, and it did
I
well.
did, yeah, but it was a role. I mean, and when I say taken out of context, meaning out of the comedy club context text, right?
Right.
I did this joke in Singapore in roast battles with Malaysia. So it's like Singapore versus Malaysia. So I roasted them, they roasted us. So that's when it cracked the audience up. And that's why I say, when you're just consuming over social media without being in the environment of a comedy club, knowing they were all just joking, making fun of one another, I could see
Yeah.
how it got out of hand.
You're not warmed up like you would be at
Not warmed up, right? You're not having a little
You're
alcohol.
cold.
And also,
Yeah, you're at work sitting on the toilet, and maybe you had a bad day, and maybe you want to be angry at something. You want to point your anger somewhere. So you're like, oh, fuck her, fuck that job.
right.
No.
And I think I'm not 100% sure about the alcohol laws, but maybe they're not really allowed to drink alcohol in Malaysia.
Gosh,
They're Muslim, maybe. So you know what? Maybe
sounds
try
like it
drinking a couple
sucks.
of glasses of alcohol, and this joke will be funnier to
Can't
you.
drink. You can't have jokes. You can't laugh. Yikes. Why does anyone still live there? Americans can appreciate humor that is harsher, edgier, more in your face as compared to Asia, where stand up comedy scene is still in its early days. Do you think Asians generally don't have as good of a sense of humor?
I would say it's a different sense of humor. I can't say they don't have one. Actually, Malaysians tend to laugh even more than Singapore. It's actually more fun performing from Malaysia
Wow.
because they tend to actually have a looser way of being, you know, a good sense of humor and everything. But I think it's different, meaning so for example, we would find darker jokes like 9/11 jokes funny if done right, done right by the comedian. But they don't have that kind of concept of like darker humor. I don't think like
Okay.
dark humor is very much of a thing in Asia based on what I've seen of them. It's more lighthearted, kind of
Interesting.
racial. They still have a lot of racial humor in Asia.
Yeah, because aren't Asian countries like pretty racist, like more so than America? That's just what I've heard.
I have heard people argue that too, and when I am in Singapore and in Malaysia, the races do take pot shots at one another. And, you know, it's not. Here's the irony, Chrissy. Like I've always said that it's actually less politically correct in Asia compared to America. Like you can still do racially tinged jokes out in Asia. Whereas in America, unless it's your own race, it's gonna get you canceled. So that is the giant irony of this entire thing. Is that
Wow.
yeah, it used to from it was that you could be more politically incorrect in Asia because they weren't as sensitive.
Wow. And now it's almost like the opposite. Like you can't talk about a group of people unless you're part of that group of people.
In
Like
America, for sure, yeah.
in
In
America.
Asia,
Yeah.
based on the last time, and I haven't been back, you know, I haven't performed there much since the pandemic. I haven't performed there since the pandemic. So maybe things have changed in the last 2 3 years. But from before, when you go to a show, it's like the Malays take pot shots at the Chinese take pot shots at the Malays, both of them take
Wow.
pot shots at the Indians. Like it's just a thing that we do, and it's funny. So that's why I thought they were less politically correct than Asia.
Wow. And it's okay, let me see here. So Interpol's main function is to share information about fugitives
I
and
mean,
bring them back to the country where they committed a crime. I just wish I could have seen the face of the Interpol officer who received this request. Honestly, if Interpol does do something about this request and things escalate, can you imagine how famous it's going to make me? Yeah,
should I
very.
just turn myself in, Chrissy? Should I turn myself in just to
Turn
become more
yourself
famous?
in. Oh my God.
I
No,
surrender,
seriously,
Malaysia.
like, hire your own paparazzi. Do it like Trump would. Just hire your own paparazzi. And be like, no, no, and then just do pictures of you like AOC style with your hands behind your back, but like no handcuffs on you.
Oh my
Uh,
god, that'll be so fucking funny.
just make
So I heard
it
there are AI videos of me apologizing. We should do an AI video of me like
what?
getting arrested.
Oh
That'll be
my
so
God.
funny.
The reaction from Malaysia to Miss Chia's act comes as comedians in some parts of Asia endure closer scrutiny from authorities. In July 22, Malaysia arrested comedian Rizal Van Gijzel for posting videos that touch on racial and religious sensitivities. So here you are saying that they deal with racial jokes easier than maybe Singaporeans or maybe easier than Americans, but yet here this guy Rizal got in trouble for talking about racial and religious issues.
Yeah,
So
it's a good point. I mean, and maybe though I haven't performed in Malaysia too much, so maybe I need to rephrase to like in Singapore we do that. And also this was before 2020. Maybe they have gotten
yeah.
more woke, like you know, in the past few
Wow.
years.
It just seems like there's no way you can plan for what's going to offend people. You can't be constantly like walking on eggshells. Your set is your set and like you're lucky enough and talented enough to perform internationally and which is a huge deal and not very many comics get to do that and then crush it somewhere else. So, I just think this is bullshit what's happening to you.
Thank you. I mean, I was trying to
Last
think what to do about it. I mean, obviously, I mean, we can't. I mean, I guess I could quit comedy and go back to being
yeah,
a
you
lawyer, right?
just
Sure, that's
quit, Jocelyn. That make the Malaysians happy.
I know,
Last
and
month
that's exactly why I'm not backing down. All right, I refuse to let them think they got me to back down. And
no. The most
but
important thing is just to never apologize, which like it doesn't sound like you're gonna do.
what do you think about apologizing to the ones who lost? You know, like I managed to give an apology to my friend. I was like, oh, but then there are
You know
others who
what?
also
If
lost
if
loved
an
ones.
I always say like if an individual person reaches out to you and is like, hey, I was offended like that, just like you did. You apologize to that individual. But if you have uninvolved of just offended people, like, you know how in this country it's like you have like social justice warriors that are like, oh, we need to, that they want to be saviors for other races. And I feel like that's what's going on here. It's like, oh, I'm offended for other people. You
Oh
need to
yeah, 100%.
apologize.
No, yeah, those people, I
It's like
agree.
those
They
people
don't
are
need an
uninvolved.
apology. It has
But I
nothing to
think
do
if
with
an
you.
individual messages you and makes the attempt to connect with you personally, then I can understand making a connection with them personally. But I don't think making a blanket apology is the right move, because people will take that and be like, oh, we got her to apologize. And it encourages this bad behavior of the death threats and the spamming and, death threats and spamming of anybody who supported
Yeah,
you.
I hear you, but they can't message me, right? I have
Yeah.
limited my contacts, such as only my people who can message me. So no one's gonna be able to like message me directly and get a personal apology from me.
Yeah.
So
Are
that's why
you
I was
are you
considering at least
feeling yeah, like,
apologizing to the ones who lost loved ones
are
in
you
the
feeling like you want to apologize to the people who actually lost? I mean, how many people actually died on that plane?
200 something.
That's not that many. I mean, that's like a weekend in Chicago. That's like a typical.
As the like, I mean, yeah, and yet some people are saying, I mean, come on, more people die in car crashes than this, but because it's such a big
Yeah.
thing. But I mean, I do get that it's triggering for these people who actually lost loved ones, right? And I
So
heard
you
from
weren't
someone
trying
that,
to personally trigger the specific
yeah, I wasn't trying to personally
people.
trigger, I know. But if a friend could reach out and be like, we're getting the kid, the it's gotten trigger, and even the kids especially are getting anxiety. I was like, ooh, it has such an impact on like people.
First of all, kids shouldn't really be like listening to comedy. Like, I don't know,
Yeah,
that's
that's true. Kids shouldn't be
comedy for
listening to it in the first
adults.
place.
And if
Fair.
somebody is mentioning kids to you, I think they're trying to tug on your heartstrings and make you feel bad.
Hmm.
So I'm just not for people making you feel bad. I mean, it's up to you what you want to do, but I think the way you've been handling it has been good.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
This I thought was so funny because this woman, I've been getting a ton of, not to make it about me, but I am for a second. This woman,
Oh my
Catherine
god, wait,
Lee,
what?
yeah.
This is in DC? Where
Usually
is
I've been
the
the
ASEAN baby?
people
Oh my
who,
god, you're in the news too, Chrissy.
dude, it was very exciting. Yeah.
Oh,
This
very
girl
exciting.
messaged me on Instagram, and usually it's like the people that have been messaging me and sending me like messages and threats and shit. They have like 0 to 50 followers, and it's kind of like nobody really.
Yeah, that's
But then
normal,
I
right?
saw a message from this girl in my Instagram message request. I go, 3 million followers. I'm like,
Wow,
is this
that's
for
impressive.
real? And so this girl, Catherine Lee, says engaged in heated exchange with community. First of all, it wasn't exchange. She sent me one message, and then that was it.
Oh, nice body.
Yeah, she is. Well, apparently she's a pianist, but she's always naked in her Instagram. So,
Oh, she's the naked pianist. I think I've seen her before. That's pretty
she
impressive to
plays
be hot and
naked
talented,
for
or like
real.
with little clothing. I think.
Oh my god. Yeah. Okay. Interesting. Yeah, her Instagram is very good. If you're a
Mm.
man looking to jerk off, I highly recommend going to Catherine Lee's Instagram. But this is what she sent me. I go, wow, 3 million
Oh,
followers.
she's very cute.
She's very cute. She
Wow, Chrissy, you're
responded
giving her so many followers from this podcast.
She responded to just a story from my bachelorette party with like friends. It's very filtered. It's not even like a good photo, but she
Wow.
responded, "Fuck you, you ugly
Raped
white
and
piece of trash."
disemboweled alive. Really? This is
Yeah,
from a girl?
raped and disemboweled alive. I was so shocked. I was like, is this really her?" And I'm like, "Yeah, 3 million followers." I'm
Yeah,
like,
that's
"This
the
is
kind of
how
thing
she's."
only like faceless trolls would dare write. She's a
That's why
puppet.
I was so shocked. I'm like, "Wow, this is like a real, I guess, influencer over there." And so I
Mm.
posted it. I was like, "Wow, she gets points for creativity or something." And
I
then
did see that, yeah.
they made this whole article, uh, and it's crazy because this woman has gotten in trouble before, for saying, like, if you're above a size medium, you're basically obese. Like, if you're above a size 6, you have to stop eating and go to the gym, which
Really?
is, like, somewhat based, but at the same time, like, she got in huge trouble because she had to apologize and be like, "Oh, I'm so sorry." It was, like, this very contrived something written by, like, a PR person, like, "Oh, I'm so sorry I put my beauty standards on other people." Like, she's gotten in shit
Oh,
for
that's
her
hilarious. She's gone in shit, and now she's piling on someone else
Yep.
for saying something that was meant in jest. Wow.
Yeah, and that's what I'm noticing. That's why I think, like, Keith Olbermann was triggered by me for my fried chicken joke because, like, people who have to constantly apologize are jealous of comedians who never have to apologize.
Mm.
And I just thought that it was shocking because, like, in this article, they were kind of uh, just. I thought it was going to be all in support of Catherine, but they were basically like, no, she chose to respond with profanity and derogatory remarks towards Mayr. She had explicit language, including offensive slurs and violent wishes. So they're not on her side.
They're not
here.
on her side, no. Mm.
And I was
I
like,
mean, if
wow.
she had done this to me, they might have been on her side. But you're like adjacent to me, right? So I could see them maybe siding with her. Maybe, I don't know. I don't know how bad the hate really is because I'm not.
What are your thoughts on like this is just shocking to me that somebody completely uninvolved like this, like she's like this gorgeous Instagram model, basically.
Gorgeous, yeah.
She's got a happy, thriving career, it seems like. Why would she comment on this?
Yeah, and also it's a DM, right? She did it publicly. I could see her doing it for the attention, sure. But she did it privately, so I mean, she must be Malaysian. Maybe she lost people and really took it personally. That's my best guess for this kind of vitriol.
Okay, so maybe but yeah, then she didn't say like, I think if somebody lost somebody, they would be quick to brag about that. They'd be like, hey, I'm offended because I lost
They
somebody.
would have.
'Cause
You're right. No, you're
if they're
absolutely right.
looking to
I do
make
see
you
that.
feel maximum bad, they would mention, oh, I lost somebody. So
By the way, shout out to this comedian. I forget her name, but people were telling me, the prize goes to this one comedian who lost her best friend in the plane crash, but she's staying silent because she's a comedian first. So, shout out to this comedian. You know who you are.
Dang, what do you think happened to all their luggage? Oh, it probably also crashed. I was gonna say, like, I'm picturing like a baggage claim with like everything building up, but there's no way that it would have even gotten to
That's an interesting visual, yeah.
Wow, this is just so crazy to me. What are the worst? I like to read all my hate mail and the hate messages, but
yeah, what is up with you? You
I embrace it.
You embrace the hate. Go on.
What do you think have been the worst messages you've seen or the worst things people have said to you through this?
I don't know anymore. I mean, I do block it out. I do block ones out. I have my controls. I have people monitoring my messages and my email. So yeah, I'm spared for the brunt of it. So really, like, they're really wasting their time. It doesn't really affect me personally.
You're not even seeing most of it
through, right? Like if when you let me know stuff, or if you will slip through, sure. But I would say I don't think I've seen more than 20. Like this whole thing.
Oh wow, okay.
Like 200,000 like messages and rants and raves. Like I don't read the news about me unless I granted them an interview. Although I did read an interview with a comedian because I was looking for my CNN article and then the CNA Channel News Asia article of him talking about my joke came out. He did it very well. He was basically saying, in a joke, there are a few things to determine whether or not it will work, right? The blah, 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 audience, etc. And the last one was the medium. And he was like, basically what went wrong with Jocelyn Chia's bit, which has been very successful in New York City, was the medium that she chose to disseminate it in. And I do agree with him. It was the medium that made things go awry because it's one of my best bits, if not my best bit, in a live show.
Wow. Oh my God. This is just so exciting. I'm all for monetizing the haters. Yeah. That's why I think I did a stream where I had like the 20 best Malaysian insults. I've noticed a lot of people saying your mother is green, which I didn't understand for days.
My mother's green?
They kept saying to me, like, your mother is green. And I was like, I don't know what
I don't understand that either.
Yeah. I think
but you see how the cultural references are different. So for example, the New York Times article, I didn't know what this meant. So the seller owner was saying, this is not you guys expressing that you're unhappy with this joke. This is basically you guys like strong arming us because they have been like trying to take down the seller. They've been trying to take down any of the clubs I performed. They're like just trying to take them down with bad reviews, hacking the website, right? They're just really trying to, and he was saying they were just trying to make it too risky for him to keep booking me. And so what he was saying is that you're not like saying that, hey, this is a joke that you need to reconsider. You're basically strong arming us until we say uncle. I was like, oh, that's a cute phrase. Say uncle.
Yeah.
What uncle? I don't know, but it sounded cute. I thought he came up with that. And then my American friends told me that uncle is like a very American thing. Like you catch someone and the person is supposed to say uncle. Is that right? Is that an American thing?
Yeah, like, oh, you have you're like hurting them until you say like, okay, stop. And that means the other person, like won or dominated.
And you have to say uncle.
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't know that. I was like, oh, that's a cute phrase, and I heard it's a very common American thing, and every American knows this.
Yeah, it's like the old uncle. So is this the New York Times article that
Yes,
you
the
were
New York Times
referencing?
one.
Okay.
I can't believe from the New York Times. This is crazy. Thank you,
This is
Malaysia.
this is big. This is big. New York Times is a big deal. Yeah.
Big deal. Yeah, when I came home yesterday, my doorman was like, "Oh my gosh, you're so famous now." One of our neighbors was like showing me the article. Isn't this our neighbor?
Oh, wow. Have you been recognized, or has anybody stopped you in the street in the last week?
No, but I only just got back to New York. I
Okay.
have been on tour and everything.
So you were traveling. Okay, wow. All right, let's see. Okay, this article I feel like is basically okay. So TikTok ended up removing the clip, saying
Yeah.
that it's hateful behavior. But to me, that means just like so many people were probably reporting it for hate speech.
100%. Yeah, same
And
as my
TikTok just bent the
Instagram.
knee.
Yeah, people say I deleted my Instagram. I have never. You know me. My stance is I am not gonna back down to this kind of hate. So I have never deleted it on my own accord. But no, they reported my Instagram often enough that it got removed.
So they reported your whole Instagram account for hate speech.
No, I'm sure they tried to, and in the end, it got suspended for impersonating a celebrity, impersonating myself. Like I'm a celebrity now.
What
Isn't that
the
crazy? Yeah, yeah. I got taken off for impersonating my own
So
self.
they got your Instagram account basically deleted on a loophole, on a technicality. That's such bullshit.
Yeah,
Wow.
craziness. Yeah,
The
and
Comedy
permanently
Cellar
deleted too. So I mean, of course, we're working to get it back, and we'll see what happens. But
The
yeah,
Comedy
that
Cellar
was
received 4,000 one-star reviews on Google almost overnight, and its website was hacked.
They're vicious, man. They are vicious.
They're disgusting, and they have no lives. It's like, and I think a lot of them are using like spam bots, because I'll see on a lot of my social media like 30 comments in a row from the same person, or
Oh,
like,
that's interesting. I
yeah,
did see one comment, and there was a word that said automated. Is that when it's a spam bot?
possibly.
Mm.
Wow. So even Singapore's Minister for Foreign Affairs, Vivian Balakrishnan, weighed in, condemning Chia and apologizing for her horrendous comments. The incident demonstrated the fraught line towed by comedians when edgy routines are removed from their natural habitats in dark, late-night, alcohol-lubricated clubs and posted to social media for all to see. Managers of the Comedy Cellar and West Side Comedy Club, where Chia has performed, said they had received or been threatened with negative reviews as part of the backlash. Chia said that her family and friends had received hate messages. Okay, so Gnome made a comment. You can get away with saying the kind of stuff that's outrageous. You can put that same moment into a small screen that you're watching over morning coffee. Yeah. It just sucks that it has to carry so much weight, but I think it's only because we let it carry weight. I think when you stop apologizing, that people will be less inclined to join a cancel mob, because they're like, oh, this might not work, you know?
Yeah, I was really excited to see that Kevin Hart didn't apologize at first for tweets that he said 10 years ago, right? And this is when he was canceled from the Oscars. But he did end up apologizing. So I think there's really a overly strong precedent of comedians just caving to the mob and just apologizing.
Because people might not understand, like, we got her to apologize. Like, we win. That means we can, anytime we're unhappy with a comedian or a joke in the future, we're going to do this all over again.
And that's why I think, and fortunately, unfortunately, we are in an industry where this kind of cancellation is kind of common, right? So fortunately, I had a bunch of friends I could rely on for advice. And I think the main takeaway I got was you have to build your own following. If you have your own following, you are uncancelable. So that's why we need to like get our own fan base, have them be on a platform that can just be easily taken down. Like I heard Patreon, it doesn't just cancel people like that. So that's why I just started my Patreon. It's on the thing, Jocelyn Chia. Just for like the people who are really going to support you, they can come see you. Because like you were saying, if the mob ends up canceling someone that someone else likes, then they're now depriving that fan of someone that they like, right? So now we have like, go straight to fans. Direct access to fans is the name of the game. I feel for like
the haters, the people who don't even like comedy shouldn't be in charge of who gets to see comedy. That doesn't make sense. Yeah. That's like someone who hates the opera being able to cancel an opera. It's like, well, then why the fuck are you even talking about it? It's irrelevant. Like,
it's like someone who doesn't need a cardiologist canceling a cardiologist because, hey, no, I need a lung surgeon. I don't need a cardiologist. Yeah, cancel you. I don't want you.
Yeah,
but someone else needs a cardiologist.
Right. Or I like your doctor reference. It never occurs to me to make a doctor reference.
I think because I'm such a
I think because my friends are broke. I don't know. I'm like, I don't know. Push-ups. Thank you for the super chat. I wonder to what extent was the economic success of Singapore's capitalism helped by the British curb stomping the communists in the 50s? What do you think? I
Oh
have
my
no
God, what an
opinion on this.
intellectual question.
I know. He's my only smart fan. Just kidding.
Push-ups, the only smart fan. The British curb stomping the communists in the 50s. Actually, what I understand was that Lee Kuan Yew, our prime minister, did quite a lot to stomp out the communists. I'm sure if we had become a communist country, we wouldn't have been as economically successful. So yes, if the British did help that out, then I do think it was a contributing factor.
Okay. These are like your Miss America
They
questions.
pay you to ask questions.
Young Pei Chang is my only Asian fan, and I'm happy he's here
And the money lah.
on my very my very Asian themed podcast. Candle money la. Okay.
Yeah. I do love, Chrissy, that you say such like comments that are deemed as offensive, and you have like soft toys and candles in your background.
Look how wholesome. Yeah. Look at this stuff.
You're
Animals.
like this offensive comedian. I mean, I don't think you're offensive, but like apparently like people do.
I've been sassy back to these people. Like I'm just saying, oh, broken English. Like I've been having
your responses have been pretty cool. I have admired the coolness of your responses. I get pretty angry when I read these and I have to reply, but you're cool.
The best is to wait till you're not emotional, and like I have to make sure, like, is this an angry sad response or is this a funny response? And if I have to wait a little bit and come back to it, like I want to make sure, like, yeah, I mean, sometimes I'll just write back whatever, but I always try to like at least be a little funny or something. Matthew Hammond, I hope Jocelyn can get angry tweets or a block from Malaysian Ian Miles Chong, who has a bunch of comments about the U.S. but never has touched U.S. soil. This is so interesting. I've interviewed Ian Miles Chong. He's like he lives in Malaysia, but he loves American culture. He's like he's constantly commenting on like pop culture, politics, and it was interesting that he just said like at one point, oh, like don't apologize for jokes, but it was like days and days later. And I was like, Ian, come on, explain to your people. Like I was annoyed that he didn't.
Oh my God. Yeah. Please reach out to him. I mean, I've gotten private messages, but no Malaysian comedian. Well, one.
I don't like that. I don't like people being pussies and not standing up for you publicly. Mark Zart, good morning, Kristen and Jocelyn. Both of you are looking very lovely this morning. You both are making tons of new friends in Malaysia. Ugh, friends. Yes, of course. Oh, Cecil. What's up, Cecil? They can find a single chick telling a joke in a basement comedy club, but not a plane full of horrible drivers. Ridiculous. Oh, it's Cecil. See, we got more offensive people in the chat. Torgo the White.
Eric can't drive, right?
Eric July's advice. Eric July created his own basically comic book franchise. Monetize your haters. So I think if you have a YouTube channel, right? Like if you wanted to do, I mean, you should do a video talking about it. I think that would do well and people would be interested.
Okay, I can get your advice on this later. I'm very new to the monetize your haters game.
Yeah, oh yeah, it's the best. Joshua, Catherine had multiple plastic surgeries. Why does she get a pass to comment on someone's looks? Very interesting. Yeah, I was seeing people were sending me a lot of before and after pictures of her, and she's had a nose job. She's had quite a bit of work done. She's on like a super strict diet where she just eats like quinoa and chicken. She has like famously said she can't have, what's the soup bowl thing called? Pots or something. She can't have barbecue or pots or desserts. So, yeah, she shouldn't be commenting on anybody else's looks. In hot water, there is no free speech internationally. USA is number one. Yeah, I forget. I guess I forget. And I'm just like, oh, wow, not even jokes. Like we can't even.
Yeah, I know we complain a lot as American comedians about cancel culture, but hey, at least we don't go to jail for our jokes. You know, I mean, silver linings here.
But that's why we have to hold the line and make sure it won't get to a point where you could go.
Right.
But there's so many people who would love to put us away for jokes.
My God, that's insane.
Good night,
Mr. Take my money, Jocelyn.
Should I take my money, Jocelyn? Make YouTube channel and EFAP all the hilarious threats you get. I agree with this. I think you should. Every frame a pause. It's like when you go through. I mean, I guess it's used more like if you go through a video and then you stop it, comment on it, stop it, comment on it. But you should, if it's fun for you, like take screenshots of all the insults and threats, and then you can get your favorite news articles, and then you could do a video just like You
see.
breaking
I
it
need to
down.
figure
I
out how
can
to
help
get
you with that
donations
later.
to my YouTube like you are getting. If it,
I
how to
I
do
can
that.
I can definitely help you with this later
Thank you,
for
babe.
sure. Johnny mumbles, wash your poop in 9/11. I only know of Jocelyn because of all this. Now I'm a fan. Thanks,
Thank
Millie.
you,
Thank
Johnny.
you, Johnny. That's another insult I've been getting. Oh, you better wash your poop before you talk. And I'm like, are
Wait,
you guys
is that a Malaysian thing?
This has been this is one of the top Malaysian insults. Is like, oh, you gotta wash your poop. You don't wash your poop in America. I was like, none of us are washing our poop. We're
Oh
all just
my!
flushing it down.
Wow, they are wasting their time washing their poop.
I'm like, you don't have to wash it. Please don't touch it.
Yeah, yeah. This is a weird
Don't
phrase. I've
touch
never
it.
heard this one. That's news to me.
Okay, yeah. I'm like, wow. I'm like, clear. It's been funny though because a
Wash
lot
your
of
poop, man.
the
So
insults haven't been translating, and I was like, none of
the insults have been translating, yeah. And like, oh, why we do jokes about 9/11? We already do. Like the insults are not
yeah.
translating. You're right.
Like you're not gonna out edgy America. Like
Yeah,
you're
exactly.
not
You're
gonna
not edge
you're not gonna
America. I
trigger
know.
American comedian. You're not gonna trigger us.
Yeah, we
With thick
started
skin.
edgy material.
Yeah, for real. This is so. What do you are you hesitant to maybe perform in an Asian country again, or you'll just fucking keep going on as usual and
Yeah, I
keep
mean that's a good
working?
question. So a Singapore comedian, there were calls to have him banned. He got banned. Oh my god, a Singapore comedian got banned from performing in Malaysia for making a joke about the Malaysian Prime Minister at the time, right?
Oh
Yeah.
wow.
So, but now it has blown over, and he does perform in Malaysia. So maybe in 30 years I'll go back. When I'm old and unrecognizable and no one knows
Oh
who
my
I
God.
am. I don't know. I don't
Just buy a wig, yeah,
buy a
and get a
wig.
fat suit.
I'll be like, no, I'm Ali Wong, guys. I promise.
Yeah, and just get like a pregnant belly. Be like, I'm Ali
I'm
Wong.
Ali Wong. Yeah, that's
I'm
right.
pregnant again. I think
I
this
wash
is
my
I'm washing my poop. This is absolutely going to be a net positive for you. Anytime something like this happens and blows up, anytime you reach like level of like New York Times or international news, it's always going to be a net positive. And it's just good to remember, like if this ever happens again, like every time this happens, you know it will blow over. You're going to be okay. It might feel you might feel panicked in the moment because you're just like, oh my God, what's going to happen?
Totally.
And sometimes the messages are like constant, and
yeah.
it definitely sucks, like, when they go after family because it's like, "Okay, I'm a comedian. I'm in the
Kids,
public
oh my
eye. I
God.
asked for this. Sure, come after me, but don't come after, like, my fucking stepson. Like, don't come
Seriously,
after"
that was disgusting.
you know what I mean? Like, that's just like, that's disgusting. I mean, like, it's, kids, just don't fuck with kids. Like, that's not fun. That doesn't make you a tough guy. That doesn't make
Yeah,
you
I mean, you're
like,
like,
you're not
okay,
owning
joking about
anybody.
tragedies off limits, but
Yeah.
threatening kids is within limits. Seriously?
And like there's no justification for it because you're not you didn't mention kids at all. You weren't like, oh, kids died on the plane. It's like, no, you're making fun of airplanes. So I just don't like when people feel like, well, I'm insulted and offended, so I can say anything I want.
Also, here's a crazy thing, Chrissy. Malaysian Airlines jokes are done in Malaysia and Singapore, like all the time. Mine just happened to one get on social media, two on a platform that was pretty big, like the Comedy Stellar platform.
Okay.
So yeah.
I think you just got lucky. It's good. I think it's gonna help you. I think make videos, make content out of it, juice it for all it's worth. I think it's good. It's very good.
But this is the difference between, and again to that cultural difference, right? This is the difference between American culture, even Western culture maybe, and Asian culture. Like when this shit hit the fan, all the Asian comics, even like Asian PR people were like just, hide away, hunker down, keep a low profile, have an elegant silence, and this will blow away. Like all the Asians were saying. And the Americans were like, use this to blow up your career. Oh my God, make this even bigger. You're gonna get a Netflix special. Like different mentality. Americans use this to blow yourself up. Asians hunker down, man. This will pass. Fascinating, right?
Yeah, maybe there's something like I don't know, maybe it's like you feel obligated to be embarrassed. Maybe it's like they think it's being respectful, but it's like, why are you a comedian? Like, why? Like, what's the point of doing comedy if you're not going to stand up for free speech and stand up for other comedians? Like, you were literally doing your job. You weren't intending to be cruel. So when people are cruel back to you. It's like, well, you didn't put that out there in the universe. And so it's really unfair that that is coming back to you because it's bullshit. Just because like we have to tiptoe around your sensitivities because you can't take a joke. Like I have to change my act, what I do. We spent 10 plus years honing our craft, and now I have to bend because some fucking pussy or plural, like an entire, well, big deal. Whole country's upset. I have to change what I'm doing because you're people I'll never meet who are irrelevant, who don't pay for my bills, who do nothing to contribute to my life are gonna have me change or no,
I think my friend Zana Garch, who gets a lot of hate, right, for her stuff. She's just a female Indian comedian that's been very triggering apparently to people of Indian heritage. The men I heard, and so she was saying, unless you are my fans or you're booking me, or you're my friends and family, like you're completely irrelevant. So she's very cool with her haters. She hearts all their hate. She'll go, thank you for your feedback. And I was like, you are a cool girl.
Because sometimes that can help the algorithm, like the commenting.
That's what she said. It will help the algorithm. So I mean, Malaysia has blown me up so much with all their hate.
It's such a good thing, Jocelyn. I am proud of you. I appreciate that you didn't like completely, oh God, I'm so sorry. And you've been strong. And like, I understand like feeling compelled, like maybe to apologize to individuals. I think that's different than just doing a public apology, like a written statement. I think, I don't think that's wise because what happens when you trigger the next group of people? That now you're just in this cycle of you have to apologize every time something pops off.
Over and over. Yeah, that's why I cannot wait. And this is my intention. I cannot wait to be like a Doug Stanhope, whom I have opened before, who just he stays out of the mainstream, right? He just gets his rabid following and they just go and they have tailgate parties before his shows. And like
he's
the
nicest guy.
Nicest guy, right? I was so nice. And I cannot wait. Like, I really hope I can get to like his level where I now have like my fans who just come and I don't have to deal with this cancel bullshit.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, this will still happen because
because
social media, you'll always have
come on to you, right?
You'll always have something sneak through on social media and get to people who are not meant to be your fans. And then the people are going to always be offended. I think it's but we can give them less power by not apologizing and not changing what we do to like keep because these people are never going to be happy. Like they just want you done. They want you jobless. They want you destitute. People want you dead over a joke. So it's
I did hear that no amount of apology is going to satisfy them. They're like a hungry monster and like you cannot grovel enough to satisfy them. That was what I was told by people who have been.
Oh yeah, it'll never be enough. It'll never be enough. And they'll watch you every time. And the next joke, and okay, now, well, what's the point of doing it if you have to apologize every couple of months?
But didn't Beyonce say something like this? Like, you follow me, you watch my stuff, you talk about me, bitch, you a fan.
Yeah, that's basically what's going on.
Something like that. Totally bastardizing her words, but something to that extent.
No, I think the great wise Beyonce was correct. Yeah.
Great wise Beyonce.
Great. She's our queen. Jocelyn, what is coming up for you? Where can people follow you? Other than occasionally seeing you at the good old Comedy Cellar. I hope they're not upset with you and it's not a problem with them.
I am going to be on a podcast tonight, so we'll see. Okay. But I think we're all just like in the trenches together, right? I mean, obviously they're going to back up their artists, etc. So they have been supportive. But I can't really announce shows anymore because apparently the Malaysians were like, oh yeah, they bombard the whatever venue.
Dude, Jocelyn, you're on Dave Chappelle level because he doesn't announce shows either. He just shows up and he just showed up like Monday. I think he was at the Stand. He did his secret show.
Oh my God, there was one show. So I did a show a couple of days ago and they were getting like just slammed by the Malaysians, right? And so I had to do a Dave Chappelle. I was taken off the lineup and was an unannounced guest.
Look at that.
Dave Chappelle style, baby. Oh my God. You guys are
the Asian Dave Chappelle. I love it. You're Asian female Dave Chappelle.
I'm Asian female Dave Chappelle. I love it. I even have a Dave Chappelle joke too.
Go to JocelynChia.com. Go to Jocelyn's Patreon, patreon.com/Jocelyn Chia.
Yeah, so I'm going to be releasing the unedited version of my Malaysian airline joke, and it's full glory on my Patreon. I'm probably going to do it like today, I think. So yeah, you'll have access to that as my supporter.
You definitely should. Yeah, ride the wave, baby. Thank you to everybody who watch this interview.
Oh, I also am on TikTok, Jocelyn Chia Comedy. I'm not sure if it's in there, but if you're more of a
on
TikTok person, I'm Jocelyn Chia Comedy.
TikTok, Jocelyn Chia Comedy. On Twitter at Jocelyn Chia. Follow her.
It's a
Love
unicorn.
her. Don't apologize ever. Love you guys. We'll talk to you soon.